So to do so, what is the solution? We know that whenever two threads are going to access the same Java object, my target is I have to use the object block and I have to use the method is synchronize. So let me modify this method. Which method is going to access this method? So let me modify this method, synchronize. S1. So now the method name is public synchronize void view string name. So in the previous example we have seen that when t1 dot start is called, this good morning is print, then this thread is going for 2 seconds. Then same times when this method is go for the sleep, this thread t1 thread is go for the waiting state, at the same time simultaneously t2 is called this method and it will print good morning, then it also sleep 2 seconds, and t1 is again wake up and print the name Dhoni or Juvaraj. So that means we are getting the irregular output. But right now I have just changed, I have modified this method as a synchronize method. Let me execute this output. Good morning Dhoni. So I will get the regular output. Why? Because when we synchronize this method, only one method is going to access at a time. Whether tn thread is executing, we will get the first chance, or it may be t2 get the first chance. If t1 get the first chance, so good morning Dhoni 10 times will be executed, then Yuvraj will t2 thread will get the chance, then good morning Yuvraj it will print 10 times. So I am getting the regular output. It may be happen that t2 get the first chance and it will print the good morning Yuvraj. If I execute, we will see, but we never get regular output. Oh, let me execute once time. So it depends. We know that there is no guarantee which thread will be get the first chance. It depends on the thread scheduler. So here the t1 is getting the first chance. So t1 getting the first chance. That's why we are getting this output. Okay. Now consider there are two objects. So let me write the class with two objects. So what is the class? Class synchronize demo. Okay. Then public static void main string args. Within this static method, I have to create two objects of display class. So display, for example, first one is d1 new display, and second one is display d2 new display. And we have created two thread instance. We have created two my thread t1 new my thread, and I am passing the first instance object d1 and with string Dhoni, and my thread t2 new my thread D2, then Yuvraj. Then T1 dot start, then T2 dot start. So, let me complete the public static void main, then class method. Now, saying we have a two object, one of the object is D1, another object is D2. So, D1 object is accessing which method? View method, D1 dot view with passing the argument Dhoni, right, and which thread is responsible? The thread T1. Similarly, there we have another object, that is D2, and it will call on this D2 dot Dhoni. So, D2 dot Yuvraj. Okay. D2 dot view, D2 dot view with passing argument as Yuvraj. Now, consider we have a two object, one of the object is D1, another object is D2, and D1 is object accessed by which thread? T1 thread, and D2 object is accessed by which thread? T2 thread. Though I am considering the same example, so that means here right now I am considering the my thread class, where so it would be a D1 and D2 also, and I am considering the display class. So, we have seen that when we use the synchronize keyword, we got the regular output, because here there was only one object, there is only one object, and only two thread but only one object, two thread but only one thread. So, we block it by using synchronize keyword. Now, if I have a two object, two different object, D1 is a one object and D2 is a another object, two different object and two different thread instance. Okay. Now, the question is, if I use T1 dot start method, what will happen? T1 dot start method, it automatically it will call the public void run method, and it will call D dot view method. So, it will call my thread class, and it will automatically call D dot view method. So, that means this block of code will be executed. First, when it will call D or T1 dot start method with passing the argument D dot D1 dot here D1 comma Dhoni. So, what will happen? The object is D1. So, it is not the same object. What will happen? It will call the public static public void synchronize view method, but then it will print I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, it will print good morning, then after 2 seconds it will print Dhoni, then again it will print good morning Dhoni. In the meantime, T2 will start, and T2 also will call this public void view method, because there is no concept of lock, because the synchronize method is related to the particular object. Here the object is different, here the object is D2. So, this method is automatically will call, and it will call the for loop, it will execute the for loop, and we will get the good morning Yuvraj in this way. So, good morning Dhoni, good morning Yuvraj, in this way we will get the irregular output, right. So, from this example we can say that when we are using the same instant, only one object but two different thread, multi-thread, in case of multi-thread, when we using the different thread, the synchronize keyword is used. perfectly. We are getting the regular output. But when we are using the different thread object, because we know that the synchronize keyword is used to particular the same object, not different object. So in that sense, when you are using the different object, the synchronize keyword is valueless in that sense, because we are getting the irregular output. We have seen in this example, already seen this example that it is not useful. So what we will have to do, we have to do public static synchronize. We have to use public, instead of that I have to write public static synchronize view. Okay, then public static synchronize. So instead of synchronize, we have to use the static synchronize. Now what you will get, whether I will get the regular output or irregular output, I will get the regular output. Why? Because when you use the static synchronize, it basically class level object. It's basically class level object. So when t1 dot start will execute, so it will automatically print I equal to 0, I less than equal to 10, I plus plus. This block for loop will be executed. I will get good morning. Then after 2 seconds, I will get the name Dhoni. So good morning Dhoni. Then again 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, I will get good morning Dhoni. Again after 2 seconds, I will get good morning Dhoni 10 times. And in the meanwhile, if t2 dot start is, if it is executed, then what will happen? When he want to execute the public void public static synchronize method, then the JVM will told the thread that this lock is already occupied by T1. Why? Because it's a class level lock. So the concept, we are getting the new concept, class level lock. So every Java, we know that, has two lock. One of the lock is called class level lock, another lock is called object level lock. So class level lock means every class in Java has a unique lock, which is nothing but a class level lock. So if a thread want to execute a static synchronize method, then thread required to class level lock. So class level required to thread class level lock, and only one class, every class in Java has only one class lock and only one object lock. So every object has only one lock, every class has only one lock. So how many lock are there in Java? So two lock, one is per class, one lock is for per object. So if more than two object is going to access a particular static synchronize method, so that means only one lock will be accessed by any thread, will be accessed lock by any thread. So no other object will going to access, or other thread is going to access this synchronize method. So that is the difference between the static synchronize and non-static synchronize method. That is the difference between the static synchronize method and non-synchronize method. When we talk about the static synchronize method, we basically considering the class level lock. But when we are thinking about the only normal synchronize keyword, so it basically related to object lock. So that is the difference between the object lock and class level lock. So when we have seen that if I use the non-static synchronize method, we are getting the irregular output. But when we are using static synchronize method, we are getting the regular output. So that is the difference between the static synchronize method and static synchronize keyword and non-static synchronize keyword. Is related to class level lock, is related to object level lock. So once a method execute once a thread got class level lock, it is allowed to any static synchronize method of that class. But once a method execution complete, it automatically the thread release the lock, the other thread will get the chance. That is the main funda between these two static and non-static method. Okay, so that is all about the static synchronize and non-static synchronize keyword related to thread. In the previous example of demonstration of synchronized method, we have seen that when we are going to use the synchronized method, but only one of two thread object are there. Two thread object are there. One of the thread is called T1, and one of the another thread is called T2. But what will happen if I want to? But here is the only one object, class object. That means only one Java object is going to access by two threads, multiple threads. Okay. Now consider if I want to, we have just already got the regular output because the method is synchronized. So let me modify with this one. If I want to execute more than one Java object, what will happen? So let me modify this code. So suppose we have a two Java object. One of the object is called D2, another D1, another is D2, and one of the object is passed through this my thread constructor D1 and another is D2. So both two threads, the method is synchronized. Look at this, the method is synchronized, but we are accessing by passing the two thread object, different object. One of the object is called D1, another object is D2, and the thread is T1 and T2. So that means two different object, Java object, going to access a particular method. Okay, the method may be synchronized, but what will happen if both threads are going to access on different object? We will get the irregular output. Let's see. whether I am getting the irregular output or not. Yes, I am getting the irregular output. So in such situation, when we are multiple thread, we know already that when the multiple thread is going to access with different object, so there is no meaning of synchronize, whether the method is synchronized or not, because everyone is getting the chance. Everyone is getting the chance. How? Let me explain this one. When T1 dot start is called, is pass the argument d1 is the object and dhoni is a string. Okay, d1 is the object and dhoni is a string. You can see from here also. So T1 got the lock of object d1 only. It cannot block the d2 object. Okay. So similarly, when T2 dot start in between, because when you call T2 dot start, it is execute simultaneously. So it is also called the D2 dot Jubaras is pass and call got the object lock on the D2 object. So T1 got the object lock on D1 object and T2 got the object lock is D2 object. So we know that every object has only one lock, but here T1 is getting D1 object, no problem. T2 is getting D2 lock, object lock, no problem. So that's why they are both are simultaneously execute this run method. Whether the method is synchronized or not, there is no problem. So to solve this solution, what will happen? What will happen? We have to change static synchronize method. So when we use the static synchronize method, means we are getting every object has to get the class lock, not object lock. Okay, so I will get the regular output or irregular output. So obviously I will get the regular output. Why? Because this method is blocked to a particular class, and if any thread want to access this method, first this thread has to get the class level lock, not object level lock. So let me execute this code. So I think I will get the regular output. So let me see. Yes, I am getting the as I was expecting regular output. So that is the difference between the static synchronize and without static synchronize method. Okay. So when we are talking about the static synchronize, means every thread has to get the class level lock, and when we are talking about the non-static method, so every thread has to get the only object lock. So in this example, we are got the conclusion that difference between the static synchronize and non-static synchronize. In case of static, the thread has to get the class level lock. In case of non-static, the thread has to get the object level lock. We know that there are two types of lock in Java. One of the lock is called class level lock, another is class lock, and another is object lock. Okay. So from this demonstration example, we can differentiate between the class level lock and object level lock. You can explain also in this way. So this all about the coding session. Thank you. So now I will discuss some basic question, and these are the basic important question for your exam. So we know what is synchronization right now and why use the synchronization. So here the first question is, what is synchronize keyword and where we can apply? You already know that. What does mean the synchronize keyword? Why we are going to use the synchronize keyword? We have already discussed about this matter. You will go through the lecture, we will get the answer. I hope you that. And the next question is, what are the advantage of synchronize keyword? And next question, what are the disadvantage of synchronize keyword? So this question are very, very basic question. You will get in your exam. What are the advantage? What are the disadvantage? What is the meaning of synchronize keyword? Why you use the synchronize keyword, and where we can apply? Where we can apply non-synchronized method? Where we can apply static synchronized method? These are the basic difference. And the one important other thing is, what is rest condition? We have already discussed the data inconsistency, right? Inconsistency in the example of joint account, bank account. We also seen railway reservation system, where we are going to, so multiple threads are going to access at a time simultaneously the particular object. So same thing is happening for data inconsistency. That condition is also rest condition. You will get more information regarding this topic also from internet. And the next is, what is object lock and when it is used? So I have already discussed there are two type of lock. One of the lock is called object lock. So per object, in Java, every class has an class lock, and at a time every object has object lock. So we already discussed what is object lock, what is class lock, when class lock is required, when object lock is required. We have already discussed, because when we are going to use the synchronize keyword without static, then we are going for the object lock. But when we are going to use the static synchronize, then we are go for the class lock. Okay, so what is the difference between class level lock and object lock? I have discussed. And the last question is, while a thread executing synchronize method, on the given object, is the remaining thread are allowed to execute other synchronized methods simultaneously? So we have already discussed that one of the thread is synchronized, and remaining thread are allowed to execute another synchronized method. So we have discussed that a class may contain different synchronized method. So is there any thread is block or synchronize or got the lock of synchronize to execute the particular block method, then any other thread will allow to execute other synchronized method? I have already discussed. Please go through the lecture. We will get the answer in details. And in this respect, I am just telling that no other thread will be not allowed to execute other synchronized method simultaneously on the same object, right? So this all about the related question of this topic. Only where I have just discussed regarding the synchronized method. When we will discuss about the synchronized block, then we will get so many other questions also regarding this topic. Right now, that's all about this question. Thank you.